Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to Introducing Defra Data. I'm Shahir. I am the Community Manager and Outreach at Geovation, and I am joined with my co-host Emma, who leads the marketing at Geovation. You might be familiar with Geovation or you might be a newcomer, but Geovation is a thriving ecosystem driving national and global geospatial property innovation. We were founded in 2009 by Ordnance Survey, and we have grown significantly to over 2,000 plus members and have supported over 250 startups, both through our programs and our community. So if you are new to Geovation and would like to join, do check out the link that we will be sharing soon. Just housekeepings before we start. Please do keep your mic and video off during the presentations. This session is recorded and will be shared on our channels. Feel free to introduce yourselves on the chat as well. If you do have any questions during the presentations, please pop them in the chat and we'll be able to come back to them later during the Q&A. If you do get lost on the slides, I do sometimes, just click sync with presenter and that should get you back to us. And lastly, we always thrive on feedback. So please do add your thoughts using the feedback link shared at the end. Cool. So in terms of the event today, the webinar, we will be highlighting the importance of Defra's data services platform, DSP, and Rural Platform Agency, RPA, datasets. So these datasets are crucial for geospatial environmental applications and will help you to support decision-making in agriculture, rural development, and environmental management to really drive sustainability and innovation. A huge thanks to our esteemed speakers here today. First, we've got Adrian, who is the Head of Data Access at Defra. Next, we have Chris, who is the Data Sharing Access Manager at the Environment Agency. And last but not least, we've got David, who is the Geospatial Analyst and at the Rural Payments Agency. That is me. I will pass on to the speakers and enjoy.
Great, thank you, Shahir. I really appreciate that. I'll just share my screen. But yeah, thanks to Shahir and Emma for setting this up for us. And we're really proud to be presenting to you today. We really want to support the startups in the UK and hopefully help all businesses who are improving the environment and contributing to the UK economy. So thank you for allowing us to speak today, and thanks for coming and attending. I will make a start then. So I'm Adrian Brindley, Head of Data Access Services. I've got a background of 11 years in geospatial and data now and technology. I had 10 years in MOD and just over a year in Defra now. So well versed in how government provides its data. Today, I'm going to cover the points on the screen, but I'll also give you a bit more background around the DSP, how it aligns with our kind of wider government initiatives to implement common standards and a common look and feel of the platform. We transitioned to a new supplier, Telespazio, back in late 2022, and since then we've transitioned the platform into a more sustainable cloud-hosted environment with new and improved services. And I'm going to talk through those improvements that have been made to the platform before covering how the platform is used with our partners, and then they'll talk you through our kind of strategic pathway. So first up is the National Data Strategy. So this is kind of the reason that we have the DSP. We have a requirement to push out our data in standardized formats to future-proof our systems and to ensure that our data is fair, so findable, accessible, interoperable and reusable. We've created the data services platform to provide our environmental data to the public for free, whilst ensuring we meet those principles. So through the DSP, we've aligned to Inspire regulations, which basically are rules to say that all governments in the EU and also the UK provide our environmental data for free to the public. We have built it to provide both spatial and non-spatial data. We also have a metadata catalog, which enables much greater search and discovery of data than previous data services platforms that we've had. And we have also provided useful information about each of those data sets, which gives supplementary value to you. We have digital services as well, which make our data readily available in open formats, whilst our applications visualize our data to meet specific use cases. And we're providing linked data and are continuing to grow our linked data holdings. So linked data is fundamental to meeting the statement on the screen, really. It allows the assigning of URLs, not just to data sets, but to specific parts of data within that data set. And that makes it machine readable and easy to share pointers to data and see where it's gone. So it's a really useful tool. So next, what is the data services platform? So before I go on to the next slide, it'd be great to gauge how many people have actually used the DSP. So can you raise your hands if you have, and we can kind of get an idea. I'll give you a few seconds, sorry. So about 9, so that's okay. Hopefully after today we'll get a fair few more, and you'll be able to see it and get access to it. So the next slide, I've got a link to it, so you can either click on that link, hopefully that works on your screen, or use the QR code. So you can go on there. Alternatively, just go into your search engine and type in data services platform Defra, and it will come up. It should be the top one, and you can go and access it from there. So we provide loads of environmental data. We've got more than 9,000 data sets hosted on the DSP. 2,000 of them are geospatial data services available for you to use as you please. Our aim is to make that data available to you so that you can use it in your businesses or in your own time to improve the environment we live in and make it a much cleaner and safer place, whilst also hopefully through your businesses benefiting the UK economy. The data we provide is vast. We have data about air, plants, wild habitats, sea, trees, food, animals, regulated industry, people, farms, communities, and of course our rivers. So please do go on there and explore and see what you can use. It's a heavily used site. In the first half of this year, we were getting about 100 million data requests a month, and between November and April, we had 6 billion hits on the site, which is pretty phenomenal. So I haven't got the latest stats on there. So where it says hits since November, that's between November and April, but pretty phenomenal. We're really happy with that. So please take a look, explore, and use the data to improve our environment. That's what we're aiming to do here. So we've had recent improvements to the data services platform. So just before I go into that, I spoke earlier about transitioning to a new supplier. Historically, we've had other suppliers and platforms. This platform transitioned to Telespazio UK and in partnership with Agrimetrics, and we have moved the data services platform to a modernized cloud environment within Azure, and that's to make the best use of the latest technology and data services which we can get from cloud hosting environments. So with billions of API calls and data requests that a DSP received annually, the new platform ensures Defra Group are providing a scalable service which supports the volume of customers in a sustainable way. We've transitioned to the new DSP, has moved Defra into one of the most sustainable data provision platforms internationally. And we have the best reliability and security credentials. The move has also increased efficiencies through our shared infrastructure and services that reduce our overall energy use, carbon emissions, and waste. So really beneficial to the environment as well. Geospatial services. We have a number of geospatial services on the platform. We're continuing to increase that and make more available. Geospatial services are incredibly important to Defra. Most of our data is environmental and usually has a location. So the availability of OGC, the OGC Features API, which is a new API provided by the Open Geospatial consortium, has ensured that we can push out data in an open format, in a modern open format, in REST format, if people aware of the kind of API technologies. The other one that we've implemented we can get image tiles much faster to you, and hopefully make it much better user experience. Reporting is more of a behind the scenes look at better access to the telemetry of the platform. This means we can proactively monitor and analyze the usage and make improvements where and when they're required. So, for example, using Google Analytics to measure what applications and APIs are important or being frequently used, any issues that are arising, and so that we can fix them quickly. It also provides our DSP administrators with improved functionality to create predefined reports or customized reports, which allows them to create, view, download, and share these reports themselves. Moving on, linked data. I've already spoken a bit about linked data. I don't want to go too much more into it, but it's going to be really useful for linking of new linked data sets and designing and building data stores for efficient storage and access to linked data, and also setting us up for AI in the environment is really important. Search and discovery, we've improved that a lot. So we now have a unified catalog search with a single user interface for both external and internal users, with more filters, and allows government digital services user interface meets the government digital service user interface guidelines, which mean it's much more accessible than it has been in the past. We also have advanced search queries to help you get what data you need quicker. And finally, external searchability in there. We've enabled search engines like Google to find out and index DSP metadata records, APIs, and applications. Publishing made some big improvements. We're now able to manage large data sets without breaking them up, which we couldn't do before. And we're also able to upload large data sets without using physical media, which again is a much bigger improvement. So that basically means that if you need a large data set, historically used to have to send physical media in, we'd have to upload it and then send it back. You can now just get that straight from the site. Self-publication of geospatial data for our staff is really good as well. We can update existing spatial data sets ourselves, and we can roll them back if we need to. So, strategic roadmap, where we're going to go. I mean, the outreach and engagement, this is a part of this. We want to reach out to businesses, startups. We want to reach out to our kind of policy teams and have a much greater engagement to enable us to meet your requirements better over the next few years. We want to modernize our applications, and this is happening now. Over the next kind of few months, there are going to be improvements to those applications, and over the next 12 months, far more will continue to be improved. Operational applications, what we want to do here is give the ability for Defra staff to react to operations and provide tailored applications for public view. So if there's a flood incident, for example, we can spin something up around that localized flood incident and help people on the ground understand where that is and give them information about it. Data quality, we want to improve the data assets across DSP in line with a key Defra Group initiative to make our data more consistent and understand what the quality of the data is. And finally, data and platform integration. We're utilizing more of the OGC APIs, including features and tiles, linked data integration to bring in more of related data sets. And we want to integrate smaller services into the data services platform. So a big win for us there is the National Capital Ecosystem Assessment program that's going on in Defra is going to be partly built through the data services platform. So we'll share that infrastructure, reuse it, and save public spend and improve the DSP at the same time. So thank you for your attention. I will now hand over to Chris Jarvis, who's my colleague from the Environment Agency. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. Just to follow on then from what Adrian was saying about talking about. hopefully you can see a green slide with my name on it showing. So I'm Chris Jarvis. I'm Data Sharing and Access Manager for the Environment Agency. So I have two roles. I work closely with Adrian and David and others in terms of managing the DSP on behalf of Defra, but really today I'm here talking about how the Environment Agency makes use of the DSP and some of the data that we make available. And an awful lot of that is geospatial data. I've got a few slides that I'll skip over, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, just do a quick demo of a couple of things about how the data is used. But we have a lot of data on the DSP, and a couple of price ones for the Environment Agency, things like our LiDAR data, that sort of really quite accurate elevation data, models, 1 meter resolution, etc. So we make an awful lot of LiDAR data available, and it's used for an awful lot of different reasons. And I think it's a really good example. Adrian mentioned the National Data Strategy, and part of that making data available for secondary reuses. The reuse that's been made of the LiDAR data is far, far wider than the EA's original intentions in collecting it, and that's exactly what we want to happen. Some other important data, flooding. There's numerous flooding data sets that we make, and we will be making available the new flood risk modelling data in the new year alongside this, but flooding is always a big one. And flood warnings, particularly at the moment and over the weekend with the effects of the storm, and I think we've all have seen the very real impacts of flooding on people's lives, and I hope nobody here has been too adversely affected by that over the weekend. But it's vast different. We have quite a wide environmental management remit at the EA, so we have quite a wide stock of data sets. So landfill is another one of our most widely used data sets. And then the other thing, just building on what Adrian said, is we make the data available. We certainly make it available for download, and lots of people download the data. But the real big increase, those billions of calls on the data, are those calls on the APIs that we make on top of our data. And the other point I'd like to make is that sometimes where we have the business need, we build an application on top of those same APIs that are available to the public, to meet our particular objective. Those APIs are then used also by third parties and made available in wider ways, and extending the reach of our data much wider than we could hope to achieve on our own. A couple of examples are bathing water data made available, and the catchment data explorer, which is a highly used one. But if I may, I'll just run through a few examples of how we make our data available, how we use it, and then how third parties use it. So this is the DSP. Adrian's given the link. Be able to go. Hopefully, you'll be able to go and find useful data to you. But you can search on the catalogue, and you can bring back. You spell properly. You can bring back the data of relevance for you. So you can bring back our flood warning data. We also make that data available via APIs, as mentioned, and here we have, we make it available through, here is the flood warning APIs and all the information about how you can use that data and plug it into your own systems, your own applications. We also make it available in a sort of little application. Here we go. So this is all about enabling people to use our data as widely as possible. So we have some widgets that can be embedded on third-party websites, etc., and provide additional access to our data. And here on our own internal intranet site is where we've embedded that widget and shows you the latest information. But as also mentioned, other people take our data and use it and extend the reach. And with the flood warnings, so it's exactly the same data, exactly the same API being used. Internally, we can see we have one severe flood warning at the moment. Externally, people can access that on the BBC, and you know, a whole range of third parties take that data. A couple of others that I wanted to quickly show. What have we got here? We have bathing water data. That's one as mentioned. And we have our bathing water service called Swimfo, enables people to see, find the latest information about swimming during the bathing water season. This is the site. Down here you will see Hive Beach. You can make that out. It's a favourite beach of mine. You can see various details during the bathing water season, all the information about that site, what we found, things affecting it. But really mentioning, really just emphasising that this data is available for others to use. This is the new National Storm Overflow Hub that has been produced by the water companies. So storm overflows, ventilation monitoring, all about when those storm overflows from sewage treatment works are discharging into watercourses. Obviously a big one. You know, there's a lot in the news about that, a really live environmental topic. So here is the same area. We have storm overflows represented on the map. That's a particular one that's not going at the moment. But here is the Hive Beach. So they've linked and brought in our data so people can see monitoring points. They can see where the storm overflows are. They can see where flows are active, and they can also see that alongside other environmental information in terms of the bathing waters. So this is quite new at the moment. They're only bringing in the location, but hopefully they'll start to make use of that, the detailed information that we have about that bathing water. So, you know, a fledgling, but a nice example. I think you can see where that data integration from different sources can start to go. What else? One other one then, just to finish. I mentioned landfills, waste permitting is a big one that we do. This is our own application, our public registers application, which allows you to access all sorts of information about how we regulate companies, organisations and people who could have an impact on the environment. So in terms of waste operations, if you search on Johnson Metals, you will find Johnson Metals. I searched close to where I'm from in Somerset. So you've got Johnson Metals, Phoenix Road, Collie Lane. You've got the permit number and other information about that site. A third-party company also takes our data, a company called Disposal. It allows people to search. It adds in some other data, some other information about that site. But if you search on the same location, you bring up the same data. So we're quite happy. You can search on our public register service. You can find information. You can be informed about what you do with your waste. You can hopefully make a decision that lessens the impact on the environment. But we're certainly quite happy for people to also access that information by third parties who bring different flavours of service, but ultimately help us to protect and improve the environment. So that was my canter through. I hope that was useful and made sense, but otherwise I'll pass over to David.
I'm going to keep it in a window, so you won't be able to navigate the slides yourself. That's because I'm also going to do a bit of a demo at some point, so switch through a couple of different windows. But yeah, so I'm David O'Shaughnessy. I'm a geospatial analyst in the RPA geospatial team. I joined as a graduate pushing 5 years ago now. Been involved in various bits of work that we do in the team, technical support, analysis, and also in innovation. We've got a team of pushing 20 analysts now within the RPA. What I'm going to speak about, you've already seen from Chris and Adrian, there's a variety of apps, APIs, data available on the DSP, and I'm going to speak about one which RPA have on there, which allows our customers to access their data via the DSP. So firstly, who are we? You may not have heard of us. So the Rural Payments Agency, we are an executive agency of Defra, also known as an arm's length body. And our main activity is the administration of agri-environmental subsidy schemes. So essentially that is pay money to usually farmers or other types of landowners for the work they do to improve the environment in tandem with the farming that they're doing. We do other things as well, so administering cattle movements, providing grants and lump sums. For example, if a farmer could apply to get a lump sum for a new piece of machinery. We administer hedgerow regulations and lots of other stuff as well to do with the rural land. And the land-based subsidy schemes are based on areas which are mapped in the Rural Land Register, which we maintain to a 3-year currency. So the Rural Land Register consists of 2.7 million land parcels, which are the majority of agricultural fields in England. 5 million land covers that are contained within those parcels, and 9 million hedgerows as well. And I think in all, the RLR covers an area which is roughly between 70 and 80% of all of the land in England. So there's a lot of data in there. And we make many edits throughout the year, around 200,000 in total per year, based on various sources of information. So a lot of these will come from mapping requests from our customers. They could be as a result of farm visits where we send field officers out to farms and assess the land that way. And we also have processes to proactively update our land data using data sources such as aerial photography and master map data. So that's a bit about us. You've already seen what the DSP is, so I won't dwell too much on this slide. But RPA ourselves have a number of data sets and things available on there as well. So I'll go into a bit more detail about that. Before I do, I'll talk about how we got to this point. So initially, in order for farmers to access their data, we used to produce paper maps and provide those to the farmers every time we made edits to their land. And then moving on from that, we started to produce shape files as requested by farmers or their land agents, as geographic information systems became more prominent. And eventually we got more and more requests for this, dozens per week that were being produced and sent out to farmers and agents. And as more and more people started to use these digital platforms and such. However, a decision was made by senior leaders in RPA to stop providing data in this way and to direct our customers to the Rural Payments Portal, which is sort of the normal way that they would access any information about their agreements. And as you might imagine, that proved rather unpopular with any users of GIS. In the end, it's easy to say in hindsight. But yeah, so I'll talk about how we've moved on from that and learned from it. So we wanted to create a way for customers to be able to access their own data and use it in software themselves. So in 2019, we began drawing up the requirements for this, for a platform or mechanism where we could share the spatial data with the farmers. And we wanted this to be a self-service option as well, so that customers could go and grab that data themselves and didn't have the delay of waiting for colleagues in RPA to produce that data for them. And we also wanted it to be as good a representation of the live data as possible, so that when they pulled it into their farm software or applications, they were looking at a nearly live version of the data, and they had the best quality data available to them. So we were directed to use the DSP platform to do this, because it's built for exactly that sort of thing. And we worked with the suppliers at the time to develop those requirements and create this service, which became one of those apps on the DSP, which is available to users now. And at the time, this required a bespoke update process because of the amount of updates and data that was going in there and the frequency required. That has since been simplified, and I'll speak a little bit about that update process shortly. One of the considerations that RPA had to make when making this data available is licensing issues. So the Rural Land Register is largely based on Ordnance Survey master map and is considered as derived data, and that means that we can't share it completely openly. We can't just publish that data online. And there are certain restrictions that we have around that. So you can see on the right hand side there, the top image, that is a screenshot from our land management system of a few land parcels. And then the image below that is of master map data. So you can clearly see how similar, they're pretty much exactly the same, the boundaries of those land parcels. So yeah, OS wouldn't want us to just publish that data anywhere, which is fair enough. But so in order to make the data available to the customers themselves, we had to get that agreement from Ordnance Survey that they were actually happy for us to introduce this. And so the solution was to include a requirement for a tick and accept Ordnance Survey license before any customer could access their data. And that's also added on the API documentation that could be used by developers, so that anybody who uses the API in their software needs to include that license consideration somewhere before the user can access their data. And it's restricted so that customers can only access data that concerns them. They can't just access the entire data set. And after this was released, it's become more and more popular as various agri-tech companies have embedded the API into their products, which farmers and other customers can then go and use. And the way they do this is that a customer will enter their personal business identifier number in those software products, and they can pull back the latest data from the DSP into that third-party software. And that's grown over time, more and more companies are embedding this API, and we've got more than 20 different agri-tech companies that are using it. And that means that more and more of our customers have access to the latest version of their land. And that means they can use it in various different applications. So it may be precision farming software, it could be just planning and drafting their applications or any changes that they need to make. A quick note on how we update the service. So as I said, there's millions of rows of data and it gets updated pretty much every day. So that means we need a really high frequency of updates in order to maintain that service as nearly live. And we've built a FME server automation to extract the latest data from the live database and then send that to the supplier. And the supplier have their own automated process to pick up those extracts and apply them onto the live DSP. So that means no manual input on either side of the process. The data just gets updated every few days on the DSP. And in theory, we can send an update whenever we like. So at the moment, it's still limited to 2 days per week that we send updates. And that's an area where we could improve in the future, and we will look to do that. So because there's so much data being sent, it does take a long time, and that limits the amount of updates we can send. But we can look to improve the efficiency of that, and also add some monitoring capability to check whether any updates are successful, or if there's any failures, then we can address those quickly and make sure that the service keeps up and running. An added benefit of the DSP is the ability for us to make more land data available to a wider range of our customers. And one of those groups of users is commons customers, or commons farmers. So the context behind this is that common land is usually farmed in upland areas around the UK, where those farmers are not associated with the land in the usual way. There may not be one landowner, there could be 100 or more different farmers, all with farming going on in the same area of land, and that means that within our database they're not linked to the land in the same way. Therefore they can't access the data that they need because it's not directly linked to that specific person. But they still need that data for all the same reasons as our so-called regular customers. And the DSP platform provides us with the solution to that. So it gives us an opportunity to create artificial links between specific customers and the land on common land. And then we can insert that into the DSP updates. And then that means that a commons customer can go and search for their reference number on the DSP, and they can access the data they need just in the same way as any normal customer would do. And that's something that wasn't really possible before we had the DSP able to do that. So that's been an added benefit for us, which has been really positive. So I will move on now to a couple of quick demos. So I'll just switch away from my slides and move into the browser. So you've already seen this. This is just the DSP homepage. And I'm going to show you how it works from the user sort of front end, how a customer or farmer could access their RPA data through the DSP. So without the need to even log in, they can visit the app gallery. And down here in the list of apps that you've seen, we've got one for the Rural Payments Agency land. And all they have to do is enter their unique reference number, and they can access the data which concerns them. So, for example, if I search that here, it brings up firstly the Ordnance Survey license that I mentioned, and the user must accept that in order to access the data they need. So I'll do that and click continue. And then after a short delay, it should, there we go, bring up a summary of the land which is linked specifically to that customer. So for parcels, land covers and hedges, they get a few statistics. It automatically generates API URLs which they could implement into GIS software, and additionally shapefile extracts or all sorts of different formats for those different data layers can just be downloaded as an extract here, and that'll be the latest version of the land data that the customer can get, and it's as easy as that. And then once they've got that data, they can do whatever they need with it. Second demo I will do will be on the land app. So the land app is one of the third-party farming software applications which I mentioned. So there's many different ones of these from different companies. The land app is just one example, who have implemented the Rural Payments Agency Land API into their software, which means customers can just pull the data when they need it. So I will quickly show how a customer may do that. So if I create a new map, and then if I just use a blank template and then import data from Rural Payments, and the same way as I did on the DSP, if I just enter the reference number for particular customers, select which data sets I want, I'll just select them all, and then click finish. And that should, again, it will take a moment, but it will pull all of the parcel data for that customer straight into the map, and then they can view it. Normally, if it was a farm that was all in one place, it would zoom straight to the data where it is. This is a demo farm which is spread across the country, so it's actually zoomed me out. But if I zoom in to a particular place, then you can see here, these are land parcels, again, which are being pulled from the DSP API into this third-party software. And we can examine those and get information about those parcels. And this data is what's coming from that API on the DSP. So it's as easy as that. Yeah, that's the end of my demo. I don't have any more slides, so I will stop talking, stop sharing.
Thank you so much, all the speakers, attendees. I hope you found that very, very useful and insightful. We'll open the floor now to questions. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to raise your hand. And yeah,
I can ask that if you want
Yep.
to. Yeah, hi David. Thanks all for the webinar. Really, really insightful. I've used sort of bits and pieces of this software and the RPA API and things like that. And I just wanted to ask if there's a, yeah, as my question says, like if there's an identifier between what you get out of the RPA API and what you're deriving, the derived parcel that's in OS, to sort of link that derivation.
I don't think specifically linking between the two data sets, that isn't returned via the DSP. We may have that sort of within our database, possibly. The other option is that each parcel comes with a unique reference ID, which can be converted into coordinates, which will take to the centroid of that location. So it could be linked back to a master map geometry that way.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if there are any product improvements, I think that could be quite handy. Just because sometimes we want to show, from an OS perspective, we want to show that sort of change. But I really appreciate the answer. Thanks.
I think I can see. Yeah. I think I can see a question in the chat, and I think Chris, that might be you might be able to answer it. I'm not sure, but it's if someone from EA can confirm the exact launch month for NAFRA 2, that would be good. I know it's supposed to be early 2025, but that could mean various things.
Yeah. I'll have to go and look for that. I think the latest information, I'll pop it on the chat, is there is an FAQ on the DSP about the new data coming along. If you haven't seen that, I'm not sure if the exact date has been confirmed, but when it is confirmed, it'll be available. It will be communicated on that FAQ as well as elsewhere.
Thanks,
Lovely.
Chris.
And then there's another question in the chat. Is there a part of Defra data ecosystem you would like to see help from other companies with?
So I can answer that one. So at the moment, I think what we're really hoping to get is understanding our customer requirements. So, you know, the question there from, I think it was Richard, and with a suggestion of an improvement to us is really helpful. We have on the DSP link that Chris has put in there. There's actually a tab which comes up with feedback as well, and you're always welcome to drop me an email and that kind of stuff. But you're more likely to kind of get what you need if you put the put your requirement through to support, and I think there's a feedback tab. And if you send your feedback in there with kind of requests of what you need or ideas of what you'd like to get, and we can take that away and capture that, so that when we come through our and get funding through, then we can look at those things. And if there's a lot of support for those or a lot of people requiring it, we can really drive that forward and hopefully get that through. So that's what we're looking at the moment.
Lovely. Any other questions from people on the call? No?
I just had sorry, I'm back again.
Yeah.
I just had a really sort of fun question. Is there any data sets on DSP that you think are kind of hidden gems, underused?
Chris, do you have any thoughts on that?
Maybe not in the way you think, Richard, but I mean, we've got a really good metadata catalog, you know, that sort of search and discovery, Gemini type, Gemini compliant, etc. But as with those standards, sometimes it's hard to find all the data that's relevant to your needs. So there may well be a hidden gem to you, may not, you know, may be something that's inconsequential to somebody else. And Adrian mentioned, you know, the sort of capabilities around linked data and that ability to integrate data. So, you know, the real prize in discovering data is to move beyond that sort of data set level metadata style search to that sort of fledgling, you know, the fledgling service of the water companies around event duration monitoring data being integrated with any other environmental monitoring data by anybody. So taking it beyond the sort of data set level to the data of interest level would be really useful.
Thank you. Thanks.
I think there might be a few questions in the Q&A.
Yeah.
Yes, I've just
There's
spotted
one-
one from Greg for me. Yeah, so RPA data, I don't think that's available to anybody as a bulk data download. Possibly it is via the DSP for Defra organizations. But if you're a PSGA member, as your organization is, Greg, then yes, we should be able to share that with you separately. Treat it like a normal data request outside of the DSP platform. So I'll give you my email address and I can take that forward with you, definitely.
I think there might have been a recent one about RLR land parcels. Would someone be able to answer that?
Yes. Should landowners be sharing their data with us? That is probably getting down into the details of what the Ordnance Survey end user license covers and for what reason they're sharing that data with you. Should they be publishing it publicly? No, I don't think so.
follow up on the metadata catalog that Chris just mentioned. Alex is asking, where can we find this metadata catalog?
Yeah, it drives the search box on the main page, on the main environment.data page. So you can search the data there, you can do your advanced searches. All of that is pulling from the metadata catalog API.
Okay.
Just on that, sorry, I'll just pull that out a little bit. I mean, Alex, it's a good question. For you, would it be better, or would you like to see it as like a whole, here's all the data that you can possibly get, and in alphabetical order or something like that? Is that what you'd like to see in future, as well as the search functionality?
Just on that, I'm just looking at the search bar at the moment, and it's quite useful, but it would be nice to I guess have like tags for the data sets, like a way to, like, if I'm looking for I don't know, data on forest or
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to think of an example, but like more detail perhaps, like better classification. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, great.
I think that does make sense, Alex, and it's something we've grappled a bit. We've used the Inspire tags, but they, everything pretty much gets lumped into just a couple of them. We did some exploratory work around, how we could present data related to climate change. But I think it's a work in progress.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
We'll definitely take that away though, Alex, and see what we can do. Yeah.
Thanks.
We'll wrap up then. So big thank you to our speakers, Adrian, Chris and David, for joining us and sharing your work and your insightful contributions. Sincere thank you to all our attendees for joining us today, and all the questions that we've had. And then that's pretty much it. Lastly, don't forget to check out our membership link if you are new to Geovation, if you are interested in joining. And lastly, of course, we thrive on feedback. We want to improve our events, our webinars for our community, for our ecosystem. So please do fill out our short feedback form using the QR code or the link. And yes, hopefully see you around at our next event. Take care, everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.